Since 1989, the best-selling car in America has been a mid-size family sedan like the cars you see here. In fact, in the last 2 decades, only 3 cars have held that title: the Ford Taurus, the Honda Accord, and the 12-time winning Toyota Camry. But Toyota's recent troubles are going to make it difficult for them to have a 13th win in 2010, which leaves the field wide open. Will Hyundai's 200 horsepower direct-injected 4-cylinder engine and 4-door coupe styling earn it the top spot? Will MotorTrend's Car of the Year regain Ford the high ground? And can the perennial number 2 selling Honda Accord maintain its high sales with an aging design and a 5-speed automatic transmission? Well, we've gathered the 7 best-selling midsize sedans to determine which one deserves to be the best seller. So stay tuned as we evaluate 7 for all mankind. In 7th place, we have the Nissan Altima. The Altima was kind of a quiet competitor. Both literally, it was the second quietest in idle and at 70-mile-an-hour cruise for sound level, but also by just not drawing very much attention to itself. It's kind of a mid-pack finisher in interior space, trunk volume, performance, all categories. So without winning in any kind of area, it ends up in 7th place. Its CVT is sort of geared for fuel economy, and in fact, the EPA numbers are second only to the Hyundai. But in real-world driving, it finished last in fuel economy. So I guess when you run them around like we do, you don't get those numbers. So in any case, that's why this one came in 7th place. Our number 6th place car is the Chevrolet Malibu. The last time we had a Malibu in a test, it was an LTZ. This one's an LT. So relative to that other car, it has smaller tires, a little bit less aggressive tires, and taller gearing, both of which, lowered the performance. The straight line performance a little bit, and the handling numbers a lot. Braking, handling, and figure 8 numbers all went down quite a bit on this car. Also, one of our favorite things about this car is its styling and whatever. It looks very large, but in fact, it's one of the smallest cars here, inside and out, which is not great for family usefulness. So, all things considered, with the fairly low performance and the small interior, not terribly super family friendly, this one came in 6th. Moving on, we have the 5th place Subaru Legacy. The Legacy's got sort of strange proportions. It's very tall in height and short in length, so I guess it's great for parallel parking and for an upright seating position. Although, even though it's got a nice high ceiling, it ends up with the smallest front seat interior space. It's also kind of a middle-sized trunk and so forth. It is the only car here with all-wheel drive, so if you live in a snowy place, that might be a consideration. It has a CVT, which has the widest ratio spread of any transmission here, which was also good for fuel economy. Its EPA numbers aren't great, but it finished very strongly in our real-world driving. It also has paddle shifters, which is great in the twisty roads and so forth. It's a little more fun. But all things considered, because of the smaller interior space, and we don't really love the interior design and the exterior styling, this one finished 5th. In 4th place, we have the Honda Accord EX. This car is overdue for a little revision. It hasn't changed very much since the last couple times we've driven it. It is the largest on the outside, but not in the inside, so it's not the most space efficient. In fact, it has the smallest trunk by EPA records. It is one of the most mass efficient. At only 3,361 pounds, it's quite light for its size, except that we think a lot of sound deadening must have had to come out of it to make that happen, because it's the loudest car here by quite a margin. One last thing in the relation of these, a recent test where we had this up against the Fusion when it first came out, they found the cars almost tied, and we gave the nod to this one, just based basically on resale value and sort of the reputations of the companies. And actually, it says a lot that Ford has come up quite a bit in the ratings since then to separate them out this time. And so that's why the Honda Accord finishes 4th place. In 3rd place, we have the impressive new Hyundai Sonata SE. Hyundai's really been resurgent lately. We really like the last car. The last Sonata came in 2nd in one of these comparison tests. And this one has bold new styling, 4-door coupe styling that is all the rage these days. The power plant is best in test 200 horsepower from direct injection. It's got the best weight to power ratio, one of the biggest tires. This is a numbers car, and not surprisingly, it laid down the best performance in acceleration, the best figure 8 time, a lot of those best in test numbers. But there were a few things that kind of disappointed us a little bit. The interior looks kind of racy, but doesn't seem to work quite as well as the old car did. The back seat was one of the few that a lot of us had trouble with our heads brushing the ceiling, despite the fact that the headroom number on paper is larger than a lot of these cars. So there were a number of little things like that that kind of disappointed us a little bit, and that's what put the Hyundai Sonata down in 3rd place. In 2nd place, we have the Ford Fusion SEL. Now, when the Fusion first came out and participated in one of these tests, it came in 5th place. We gave it a lot of grief for its kind of anemic engine and 5-speed automatic. Well, the reboot for 2010 impressed us enough to earn it the Car of the Year status. Indeed, the new 4-cylinder engine has 175 horsepower, 172 pound-feet of torque. Quite good. Put this car in solid mid-pack performance as far as acceleration and braking and so forth goes. It's also got the largest trunk in the class, thanks to this new redo in 2010. 16.5 cubic feet, and it is cubic. Very square, great wide pass-through, remote entry for those that flops the seats down. Really the best trunk in class. The interior has been redone also, quite nice inside. If there's one thing that still bothers us a little bit, and which probably kept it out of the winner's circle, it's the 6-speed automatic, which doesn't give us any option for any kind of gear shifting and doesn't include any kind of sport logic. So fix that, and I think we might have a winner. But for now, the Ford Fusion is in 2nd place. And that brings us to our 1st place finisher, the Toyota Camry LE. Yes, the best-selling car in the nation for the last 12 years is our favorite pick for bestseller next time. You know, this is a car that just really does everything for the family, just perfectly. Great comfortable interior, roomiest back seat, decent trunk space, mid-pack performance out of the lowest horsepower engine, which is pretty impressive. They keep the weight down impressively. The interior is the quietest one here. The ride is far and away the best in the group. And other things like the ergonomics. This car is anything but intimidating. You get in and there's 2 knobs and 6 buttons for the radio presets. Perfect. The climate control, 3 rotary knobs. What could be easier? Everything about this car is very simple, easy, user-friendly, and we think that's why it's been the bestseller all this time. As far as the whole acceleration problem and so forth, we did do some testing at wide open throttle braking, and this was one of the only cars which now cuts out the acceleration, the engine if you are stepping on the brake. Its braking stop distance with the foot flat on the floor was almost the same as without it. So we think that Toyota probably deserves to get past that. So that's why for this year's test, the Toyota Camry wins as our best mid-size family sedan.